Do not repeat the tactics which you have gained on victory. Do not repeat the tactics which have gained you one victory, but let your methods be regulated by the infinite variety of circumstances. Military tactics are like unto water. For water in its natural course runs away from high places and hastens downward. So in war, the way to avoid what is strong is to strike what is weak. Now, this is something that we definitely got raised with in SEAL teams. You don't use the same methodology over and over and over again and develop a pattern. You don't do it. No matter how minor you change things up, you change things up. And that's something that any good military unit does. It's something that anybody that's being threatened, if your life is in danger, you don't set a pattern on what you do. Yeah. You change it up. Water shapes its course according to the ground over which it flows. The soldier works out his victory in relation to the foe whom he is facing. Therefore, just as water retains no constant shape, so in warfare there are no constant conditions. You got to have an open mind. You can't get trapped inside your own tactics. You can't get trapped inside your own game. And I see this with businesses we work with companies that we work with, where they have got their thing that they've done and they've been successful for 6 years running. And then all of a sudden something changes and they're trying to run the same methodology without ever stepping back and saying, wait a second, we did well. We had a 12% growth average for the past 6 years. And all of a sudden we're down 22%. What happened? Well, let's just do what we did before again and again. That's how people spiral into bankruptcy.
Why? Because the conditions outside of the company change.
The conditions change.
The battlefield.
And they don't look and say, oh, the enemy adapted. The competitors adapted. We can look at some of these businesses that have gone on. I mean, the music industry has changed dramatically.
Yep.
CDs. I mean, imagine if you owned a CD production warehouse somewhere. I mean, you wouldn't
Tower
be
Records.
making CDs. Yeah, Tower Records, classic example.
Yeah. Yeah, and back to the doing the same thing over and over again. Like, if you succeed with this one, method, don't do. It's like salespeople. Salespeople, they really look. Well, a lot of them, they really look at sales as this kind of war. It's me against someone makes the sale. Either you sell them your product or they sell you why they can't buy. Whatever. When you see as a consumer, when you see this, especially from salespeople directly, when you see the same language over and over, after a while you're like, I see exactly what you're doing. I see what you're doing. You know how they'll ask you a question that if you say no to, you look dumb or something like that. Yeah. So I don't know if they're trying to say
something. Yes 15 times in a row and then
they'd be like, oh, obviously, right? And you're like, I can't. You kind of feel like you can't say no, but after a while you're like, I see what you're doing. So it may work because that they probably teach them that. So it's like, that works. That works. But yeah, everyone's starting to get hip to it. Stuff won't work anymore.
No, it's definitely not going to work on Echo, Charles.
No. I see what you're doing. I see what you guys are doing.
All right. And this is just restating the same thing. He who can modify his tactics in relation to his opponent and thereby succeed in winning may be called a heaven-born captain. So if you can look at what your opponent's doing, and this is something that, again, I see companies do it. I see jiu-jitsu players do it. They have that one thing that they're used to, and then someone's really good at defending that one thing, and they just keep going against it, keep running into that brick wall, and it's not going to get you where you want to be.
Yeah.
It's problematic.